Warning. Listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to another episode of Influencers Radio. Today is going to be a special day for me because we get to go behind the scenes. We get to pull back the curtain of something that we are exposed to and we see every day. And that is when you open up your email and you get emails from businesses that you follow. People get excited about getting emails about offers from businesses that they frequent, that their favorite businesses, also businesses that maybe not be your favorite. But you see it, and a lot of people don't understand how that works or why they are getting the types of emails they get and even the contents of those emails they get. And it's not just about huge companies like Apple and Amazon that are sending these emails with some very, very clever science and marketing behind it. But now this is within the reach of just about any small business. And that's what my guest today does. She helps establish small businesses to automate their sales, their marketing processes, so that they can actually get new customers, get their current customers to come back more often, and make it easy for those customers to talk about them, to refer their friends, family, and even strangers back to their business. But more importantly, she helps them to do this extremely effectively and efficiently so that they can spend more time doing the things that really matter to them. So, with that, I want to welcome to Influencers Radio, Samantha Alford, CEO of Get You Digital. Welcome to the show today, Samantha.
Jack, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to share this information with your audience.
Well, you know, I'm excited for you to share it as well, because email is just almost become ubiquitous. It's funny, when we were talking before the show, you said, you talked about email being traditional type of, and I'm like, since when is email traditional? That tells you how compact our history has come, where email is the traditional, something traditional for us. But it is true. It's something that just about everyone has with email, and a lot of people see businesses using it, and a lot of people see businesses misusing it. But what I want to talk about is how we see a lot of businesses completely ignoring or neglecting the opportunities that they have, not to pound their customers or spam or anything. We're talking about to genuinely serve their customers and help them learn more about their customers so they can serve them more effectively. So let's dive right into that. When we talk about small businesses, kind of describe some of those businesses, the types of businesses you help. I know it's both online and brick and mortar, but let's kind of put a face to these types of businesses that you're working with.
Yeah, sure, Jack. We work with businesses. We work with established small businesses. So typically they're businesses that have been around for a little while, say 3 years or so. So they have their products established. They have their processes around their sales and marketing and so on. But they're at that point where they've done all of their growing through their organic processes and through the staff that they have on board and that kind of stuff. And they really want to start growing their business, really nurturing their customers and using their existing relationships with their customers to help them solve more problems, like through upsells and cross-sells and that sort of thing, but also to stop, if you like, some of those leaky buckets at the front end of their sales process. So where they might have people visiting their website and just bouncing off and never visiting again, or they might have someone coming into their storefront and not coming in again. So they want to know how to capture, if you like, some of that business that's going elsewhere. And traditionally they are businesses that are professional services businesses. They can be online businesses where someone might be creating digital products and that kind of thing. But typically we're working with businesses that are more traditional, accountants, real estate agents, lawyers, those kind of professional services businesses. But even businesses like barbecue stores, pizza oven places, that kind of thing. So shoe stores. We really deal with a lot of different types of businesses, tax depreciation type companies where they might be helping someone with investment real estate to depreciate the assets and things that they have in their property. So it is quite a wide range of businesses, but particularly they are more established. They usually have 2 to 5 employees, so they don't have so many people that they can ramp up really quickly. And this is where the automation can really help them grow in that regard.
So this could be anything from a bakery to a medical, a family practitioner.
Absolutely.
So, and the one thing that I've noticed and is I'll go to a store. So let's take a bakery, for example, and you'll go in there and you'll think with all the technology available today, I'll still see clipboards on the counter.
Yep.
Saying, here, sign up here for, a gift or to get our coupons or our mailers or whatever. And I look at the clipboard and it's full of email list, right? Or I'll see the fishbowl where people are collecting cards, or every networking event where people are handing out cards. And we all know what happens 90% of the time with those is they get put in that stack. It's almost, to me, I think business cards should say, here, you throw this away, right?
Exactly. And, even people, going to conferences and events, collecting business cards with the best of intentions of following up with the people that they meet at those conferences that they've obviously met because they have like interests. They've only exchanged business cards because they actually do want to reconnect after the event. And yet how many times does the fishbowl get full and it never gets followed up? Or it gets followed up once with a buy our product email, which is an instant unsubscribe in the email world, and it never gets followed up again. And we know that it takes on average about 7 contacts at least for someone to know, like, and trust you enough to purchase from your business. But either those business cards go into the bin or they sit there on the desk waiting to be entered into your email, your Outlook system, and you have the best of intentions of following up, but of course all the work that's piled up while you've been at the conference or you've been here, actually is more imminent and urgent than following up those leads. And then a week or 2 passes and you think, well, I kind of can't follow up now because it looks like I'm only interested in selling them something. So then they do end up going in the bin or sitting on the desk for 12 months, and then you think, oh, well, this is just a waste of time. So yes, what we do is we help businesses follow up with those leads and with those prospects. And, even if you think about a bakery and its existing customers, so it might not even be people that are signing up to receive information the first time they've been there, but I don't know about you, but we tend to be people that are like, there's so many kittens on the internet and cats on the internet these days, but we're like cats that follow the little laser light, and whatever the little laser light that is on the floor in front of us, it grabs our attention. And if that bakery was to happen to pop into my inbox at around about 9:30 or 9:45 with the latest croissant or Danish or whatever else, I'm probably going to think, oh, that'd be good. I might go down there for morning tea and pick up a Danish, and I'll probably need some bread and stuff for lunch as well. So, it's all about the timing and knowing when to actually help your customers solve their problem. And in that problem, I'm starting to think about morning tea and what am I going to have to get me through to lunchtime. So that's where email marketing can really help.
And, you brought up something that earlier that I want to talk about is you mentioned these leaky buckets, right? And I guess one of the things that you just described is one of those leaks where people collect the emails, but then they, other things more pressing, important come along. Well, I'll put these in my database, but I got to do inventory first. Or I'll put these in, but I have to meet with a new client, or I have a potential client to meet with, and it always gets pushed back as or down on the priority. And so I guess what you do is to help develop a system so that doesn't have to go down on the priority, and so that they can start taking advantage of those, all those emails they've collected. I see that's one really big leak. Now, emails. If I think about emails, you mentioned the internet. you know, everybody's on Facebook, you know, Twitter, Instagram. You know, there's a new one coming up every day. And you hear a lot of people talk about social media. That's where you have to, you know, advertise, email. You know, we still talked about it being traditional, but I think there's some people that they're thinking, that's old school. There's nothing sexy about email. You know, you got to be doing this other stuff. And I ask people about this. Marketing professionals, I'm always really surprised at the answer. Out of social media, and I'm talking about Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, any of that, or email, if you could only pick one to have in a marketing arsenal, which one would you pick?
Without doubt, without a question, absolutely email. You know, people... social media is very powerful to get the attention of people, to spark their first interest. But email is the most powerful place and the most private place for people online. So for someone to let you into their email box, it's like letting you into their home. They need to know, like, and trust you enough to allow you in there and to stay in there and to warrant spending their time reading the material that you send them. So when you actually respect that status, if you like, and that privilege of being inside people's email inboxes, you're in a position to actually help educate, nurture, and solve those prospects or customers' problems, because you're in that space where they're going to spend more time actually reading through the information that's in there, because they have in the first place allowed you to be in there by exchanging their email address for something that you might have given them that was of value, you know, through the earlier part of the process. So for example, whether it was the business card, they knew you well enough and they spoke to you long enough to say, can I have your business card, or you know, I'll give you my business card. So that's the first element, if you like, of trust between you and a prospect. Likewise, they might have opted in on your webpage for a checklist that might help them solve, for example, their tax time problems or their depreciation problems. So they have given you that email already because they know, like, and trust you enough to allow you into that space. And that's why email is the best place to be helping to educate and nurture your new prospects and your existing customers. That's not to say social media isn't important. It still is a very powerful part of the process. And through our sales automation system, we acknowledge that social media is very helpful at if you like, putting people into your funnel, into your email, and starting to grow that know, like, and trust. But, you know, so many businesses, and particularly small businesses, you know, they will get someone, a prospect, to become a customer, and they've invested all of that time to get someone to become a customer and to help them to the point where they become a customer, and then they race back to the, you know, it's almost like crossing the finish line, and they race back to the start of the race again, and they forget to actually nurture and grow and help that customer in terms of other services that they may require, and the ability to upsell and cross-sell, and even build a relationship with that customer so that they can get referrals from their friends and family and strangers. So email is definitely the most powerful place and the most engaged place if you respect it, and if you know how to educate and nurture your customers rather than slam them with spam, basically.
So I think what you just did was you just described another leak. Yes. So there's one leak when you first get these emails, whether it be through business cards or signups, and then another leak is if you've been lucky enough to turn people into customers, not following up with them. Absolutely. Huge.
And just, you know, meeting that one need and then going and chasing new customers. Whereas if you ask those customers, how else can we serve you? What else? You know, if you really listen to them and engage with them through your email processes, you can learn a lot about their interests, around their behaviours, and around what's happening next for them that you can help service their needs with.
Well, and it sounds like social media. As you were describing that, I started thinking, you know, all these different social media platforms, just about everyone required to have an email address.
That's right.
To actually get logged in. So it makes sense because I see a lot of things on social media and Facebook that are saying, hey, come join our email list. But I can't remember the last time I got an email that was just about here, go to my Facebook page.
No, that's right. And in fact, if anything, what you're wanting to do through your email marketing process is actually bring people to your home, and that might be your web page where you might have information that will help them, because that allows you to then control the if you like, if we go back to the cat and the laser light, it allows you to control what they're seeing and the information that they're getting to help them solve their problem, rather than getting distracted with other potential solutions that may not actually meet their needs as well. So certainly, getting into that email box is critical, but also it allows you to manage that customer within your own ecosystem, rather than risk them going back and seeing some other problem that they need to solve and getting distracted by that.
Well, and we know people are easily distracted. So we've talked about the conceptual pieces of this, and I think it's probably without debate how important this is. But one of the things I really love about you is getting down to specifics and the tactical piece of this. You have 5 automatic, and I want to put a spotlight on that word automatic, and we'll talk about that here in a bit, because I definitely want to get more out of you about that. But there's 5 email campaigns that you feel that every business needs in order to achieve that, about getting more customers, getting their current customers to come back more often, to save time, to get organized, and to follow up with their prospects and their clients automatically. Can we kind of walk through each of those 5 and describe what it is they do and what they help a business achieve?
Absolutely. And these 5 automatic email campaigns are applicable no matter what your business, right? And as I go through them, you'll start to identify with those, even for your own business. So the 5 absolutely critical campaigns to stop those leaky buckets. The first one is around what's called lead opt-in to purchase, and I'll come back and walk through the detail within them. But we've got the lead opt-in to purchase. We have a long-term nurture. We've got a new customer, I love you. We have a long-term customer campaign, and we have a referral campaign. And what they do is essentially those campaigns address every leaky bucket in the life cycle of that customer with your business. And I'll just run through each of them in detail. So the lead opt-in to purchase, and that can be, marketing speak in terms of lead opt-in, but a lead opt-in can be anything from signing up on your web page for a checklist or some information or a white paper that might be related to a topic that you're interested in. It might be popping into your store and wanting to sign up for the membership club, where you can find out about discounts, for example, when the store is offering sales, and you might get early advice of those sales. It might be an exchange of a business card at a conference or event. So it's just that first contact with a customer or a prospect that might essentially, where you've recognized that there is value exchanged. It's worth letting you into my inbox so that I can actually find out more, and I think that you can help me solve my problem. And that campaign basically walks and automatically walks prospects through, once they've actually opted in and they've exchanged that business card or that email, how they actually get educated and nurtured through to the purchase process. Because if someone has actually expressed interest in what it is that you have to either sell them or teach them or show them, then they are wanting you to actually help them solve a particular problem. So whether that problem relates to, what's the best barbecue to actually have in an outdoor area where I also want to have a pizza oven next to it, and I've just got no idea what I need to think about in terms of managing rust and the environment and the outdoor elements. So it might be a piece of information that helps educate you with that. But then you might not initially want to buy. You might want to consider other issues and challenges associated with the problem that you have, which is, I want an outdoor area that is functional, that's easy to manage, and so on. So that particular campaign is usually a series of somewhere between 3 and 5 emails to help people understand how to solve their problem, what are all the objections or concerns they might have about your business and working with your business specifically, and how you can show them how you solve their problem, how to that you are established enough that you're going to be there when they come back, if they've got any further questions after they purchase, all of that sort of thing. So it's about educating and nurturing people in relation to their problem.
And I guess one thing that we'll talk about this in automation is you can actually have that set up to perform different communications depending on if you got somebody who from a business card and that's how they came in, or you met them at a networking event, or they enter their email address from a specific page on your website. So you can know very easily where they came from. Where a lot of people, if they just dump everything from the business card to the what they got off the clipboard to whatever, it's just all in one big pile, and they throw all that stuff away. They don't know where they actually met or found those people, right?
That's right. And a classic example of that might be that you've met someone at a real estate conference and they've given you the business card, but your conversation was about residential real estate and that they have a property that they were thinking of selling versus commercial real estate or, rental properties. And you can actually tag in your automated systems, and we use a tool called Infusionsoft to do this. You can tag that prospect's interests so that the information that you are sending them actually solves their specific problem and speaks to them specifically. And in fact, it can be so personal that they can feel like you're actually writing it directly to them. So if you meet someone that's interested in residential real estate versus someone that's interested in commercial real estate, you don't want to be sending a commercial real estate agent information about how to buy your next property or how to sell your next property if it's a house, right? So that they will have different issues and different problems to solve. And the beauty of automating this process is that it allows you to scale personal attention and scale. What I mean by that is, it's as if the system had the conversation with the person at the event, because the system actually knows what it is about that person that they are specifically interested in through their behaviours, through what they might have clicked through on the website, through the specific information they might have downloaded, and that kind of thing. So it does allow you to very highly personalise the email campaigns.
And I guess that gives a whole new definition to nurture when you talk about,
yes.
I think your second campaign is long-term nurturing. And so that's not just a word, it's nurturing, and it's not necessarily even you having to keep in your brain, now, what was it about this person? How do I meet this person so I can send them something specific? This is something that your systems can do automatically, and that nurture really is nurturing because it's sending things based on that relationship and what you knew about that person when you met them, right?
That's right. And, there's nothing worse than being given permission to go into someone's private space online and then sending them stuff that is just not relevant to them. Because the first thing they're going to do if they start to receive information that isn't relevant to them is unsubscribe and say, well, thank you, it was nice to meet you, but I don't think what you have is relevant to me. A long-term nurture sequence is all about, some people just aren't ready to buy right now. They might not be ready to sell the house or to buy a new property, for example. But if you continue to stay in touch with them about topics that you know that they're interested in and help them through that process in a way that is not spammy or salesy and pushy, then when it comes time for them to want to sell that property or buy a new property and so on, they're going to think of you first. And I liken this, and if we talk about scaling personal relationships, you know how sometimes you have one of those friends that they stay in touch with you really intensely when they want something, but when they've got something and they don't need something from you, you don't hear from them for months or years. And then all of a sudden they'll reach out again and say, how you been? What have you been up to? Let's catch up. And you think, what do they want? Well, the long-term nurture campaign is exactly like that. If you only reach out and help and educate customers and nurture customers when you think they are hot to buy something, and then you don't contact them again until you think that they might be ready again to buy something, then that's going to erode the know, like, and trust that we talk about. Whereas if you actually nurture them and you continue to help them even when they don't necessarily want to buy something from you, when they are ready, what actually happens is they go back and they think, rather than research and go back and look through all of that information and find out again who I should be dealing with, I've got that person in my inbox. I'll just search back through that and I will actually go back through them, because they have continued to help me with this problem during the entire life cycle that I've been thinking about it. They don't just want to deal with me when they want to sell me something. And so you can actually save a lot of time for consumers and for your prospects, because they don't need to go back researching again. Oh, that's right. Which barbecue place had that particular pizza oven, or whatever it was. So, you're also saving them time in that process as well, and continuing to build that relationship as long as the information you are sending them is relevant to the initial problem that they had.
And I think that's an important point. Is that something you help people with, is develop and nurturing content for those emails?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we are very conscious of that personal relationship. So a lot of those emails, for example, we talk about friendships and relationships as much as sales and marketing, because in structuring those emails we talk about, what is the life cycle of a customer here. Some of them do buy right away, but some of them might think about a particular purchase over 12 months. I mean, consumers have their own purchasing process that they go through, and we go through and analyze that with our clients, and we say, okay, well, typically what are they thinking when they're going through this process, and what are the challenges that they have, and we structure that depending on the buying cycle. It might be a monthly email, it might be a weekly email, it might be an email that occurs every 3 months. So a long-term nurture sequence can depend very much on the nature of the purchasing cycle and the product that's being purchased.
And I guess there's a fine line between feeling like you're bugging the prospect versus sending them something that they look forward to.
That's right. I had a conversation yesterday with someone about this exact topic, and we talked about the difference. They didn't want to send, for example, after that very initial exchange of business card, they didn't want to, and the follow-up saying, we said we'd get in touch and here's the email that, here's the information that I said I'd send you. They didn't then want to send another follow-up email, and they were concerned about bugging the person. And I said, well, do you really want to help them, or do you want to bug them? If your emails are designed to help a person solve a problem, then use the system for that. Don't bug them. You're only bugging them if you're continuing to send emails when they're not interested. And we use a system that actually allows you to tell whether they're interested or not. It'll tell you whether they've opened your email, whether they've clicked on the information that you've sent them. And if it appears that they're really not interested, they're not opening it, they're not clicking on the links, they're not showing that they're actually interested, then we put them into a different sequence that actually says, okay, well, we'll just keep them warm and occasionally send them something rather than bug them per se.
Yeah, I think about when I'm at the morning at the, at the diner. If the waitress came to every table every 3 minutes asking the way and wanted more coffee. There's some tables that would be thrilled. Oh, great, man! They're right on top of things. I don't have to wait for my cup to get refilled. Then there's other people that would be there. Why do you keep coming here? I didn't even order coffee. No, I don't want coffee. And that's what a lot of people do, I guess, with their emails, is they just blast them out. And one of those customers you're obviously bugging, with the other one is thrilled to death with what you're sending them. And
some of them, if you only fill up the cup once and never return, they can be sitting there going, well, I want another coffee here. Like, what's going on? What do I need to do to get some attention? I want you to come and give me another cup. So it is about understanding what's the right cadence and what's the right frequency for your customer. And by using automated systems, you know what that cadence and frequency is.
Okay, so let's talk about, we've got these buckets, and we have these leaks. One of them is actually getting people into the system to be able to communicate with them, and then which is the lead opt-in. Then we talk about the long-term nurture. This is where that know, like, and trust, and you're educating them and building that relationship and really giving nurture that true meaning. Now they have decided to buy from you. That they've become a customer. You have a new customer. I love you. Now that's a pretty bold statement. So what occurs? What is the transition in your communication when somebody comes from that nurturing to finally becoming a customer, a paying customer?
Yeah, I liken this to a scenario where when someone exchanges their money for your services, they're really excited. They've decided that you are going to be the person that solves that particular problem, and they're really excited about getting that problem solved. And the new customer I love you sequence is about saying, well, we're really excited about working with you as well, and we want to show you that, whether that is through sending a personalised card, like greeting card that says, we're really excited to be working with you. We just wanted to say thank you for your business, and we will treat that with a great deal of respect, and we're excited as well. Or whether it's sending cookies, or whether it's sending some sort of gift as a thank you. It might even just be just saying thank you, we're really excited to have you, and this is the process that we're going to go through in order to be able to, for example, process your tax return or your depreciation schedule. So it helps on board, if you like, new customers, but in a way that wows them. How often do you actually exchange that value, pay for a service, and then it's almost like the company just goes quiet, and you sort of think, okay, well, now what happens? Well, I've given you my money. What happens next? So this is about making sure that you're wowing and surprising and helping, again, educate your customer about what comes next and what's it going to be like to work with us. One of the greatest ways to get people to talk about your business is to wow them once you've sold them something. I receive all sorts of gifts and things like that from different businesses that I've worked with, and I can't help but tell my friends about it. Did you know that so and so sent me a photo of his family when I actually purchased a product from him, and a photo of him at the White House Christmas party, and I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that he was that important and amazing. So, there are things that you can do to wow your customer even after they have given you their money, and it doesn't take any additional effort if it's all automated. And there are ways to automate these things through your email automation systems. You can connect with businesses that fulfill all sorts of gifts. You can even just an email sequence about how the process works that's consistent, so that every customer, every time they buy, get the same information. I have clients that have certain regulatory requirements when they serve a new customer. So they need to make sure that certain documents are signed at the right time, certain processes are followed, and the New Customer I Love You campaign can help automate all of that, so that you can spend your time actually serving your customers and nurturing your customers, rather than necessarily sending them some of the administrative processes.
And I guess, they say a lot of times that purchases, when people buy things, it's an emotional, decision, and then they come back and they want to justify it with logic. Yep. I guess when you do this, New Customer, I love you, and you wow them, it must just reinforce them feeling good about the decision that they made to do business with you as well. Absolutely.
And, the other thing is that it recognizes that they may have more needs than the particular product or service that they've purchased from you. So they might have started out thinking that all you sell are is tax services, when in fact you can also help them with their financial advisory services, their superannuation services, and everything else. And around about that time that they're doing their tax, they're thinking financial, they're thinking in those ways. So can we help you with some of that other information as well, and some of those other services? So it is also the perfect time to be thinking about them and what their other needs are, whether there's an opportunity to, give them fries with that, if we use the McDonald's analogy.
So we've turned them into a customer. That takes care of another leak that oftentimes most businesses have. Now, once they become a customer, and your fourth campaign that you talk about is the long-term customer campaign. Is that something that is that almost like a different type of nurturing sequence or campaign that you do that is applied to a paying customer versus that new relationship that opted in the first type of campaign?
Yeah, this is one of the most powerful but most neglected campaigns there are. And I'm not sure whether you know this and whether your listeners might know this, but 63% of consumers leave a business and take their business elsewhere for this next reason. And it's not because someone upset them, it's not because the service was bad, it was not because someone did something wrong, or they didn't get the result that they were after. It's because of indifference. And it's because of indifference towards a customer. You don't, so few businesses really, once that first exchange is done and that first service is provided, are so busy chasing the next new customer that they become indifferent towards their existing customers. And so this campaign addresses, if you like, that indifference and shows customers that we actually care enough about you to help you even further and beyond what your initial purchase was. So, for example, we would use things like newsletters or tips of the week or information that might help a customer, things we like. In our business, for example, we might share information about applications that we like that help productivity. It might be completely unrelated to email marketing automation, but I know it's going to help the businesses that I'm actually serving. So this long-term customer campaign is about how can I continue to serve my customers in a way that doesn't cost me a huge amount of money and a huge amount of time, by sending them information that might continue to help them through their process. So, for example, if we look at the tax depreciation company, around about April each year, they might send some information saying that, it's around about the time you want to start thinking about your end of financial year. This is in Australian financial year times. I know that your times are a little bit different, but have you bought a property in the last 12 months? Is there anything that we can help you with to help you prepare for that? And these are the documents that you might actually need to have handy if you do buy a property, so that it's really easy for you to get your depreciation schedule. If it is a barbecue company, it might be 3 months after you've purchased and installed the barbecue. Here's some information on the best way to clean it and keep it up to as new condition. So this long-term customer campaign is really designed to continue to help people and nurture people after they have purchased from you, so that when it comes time for them to purchase again, either a similar or a replacement product, they know again that you care about them enough to continue to help them, and you haven't become indifferent.
And I would assume that this, you talked about, I think some really powerful points is that, one, the expense. And I think everybody realizes that the cost to acquire a new customer is far greater than to serve a current customers. And the irony of that is that it's neglected so much because there's so people chasing those new customers.
And when we talk about the leaky buckets, this is the biggest leaky bucket there is, because, once someone has become a customer, if they are indifferent and they go to your competition the next time that they are looking to solve that problem, you have already invested all of that time and money to acquire them, to nurture them, to serve them, and then you're just going to let them walk away. And I find it as one of the most painful leaky buckets, because it is also one of the easiest to address.
Well, and I think, as we lead into the fifth automatic email campaign, that return on that initial investment of acquiring a customer is amplified exponentially in the referral part when you do a campaign, because there your cost is almost nothing. It was all spent on acquiring that customer. Now you're kind of reaping the rewards of nurturing and of the long-term customer campaign. So talk about this, because this is the one that it seems probably just a fraction of a percentage of businesses actually get to experience or actually get it to put into place. But it's probably where the biggest returns are. And so the referral campaign, how does that work?
So this is, you've hit the nail on the head here. This is one of the fewest areas that businesses actually pursue in terms of new business, but one of the most powerful. If you have done those earlier campaigns well, and you have served your customer well, how powerful is it for you to say to that customer, is there anyone that you know that would appreciate this level of service as well? And so few businesses actually ask for a referral because they're concerned, again, about bugging someone for a referral. Whereas if they switch their thinking and they think, surely you would have friends and family that also have this challenge, and if we have served you well, would you like us to serve them well as well? Would you like them to have all of the benefits and all of the return and the results that you have had? And the referral campaign essentially gauges that level of satisfaction with your business. And where that satisfaction is so high, it asks, do you have any, colleagues, family, friends, or people that you might meet that would also benefit from our product or service? And it is such a simple campaign to implement. It also, asks your customers whether or not they're satisfied with your service, whether they'd be likely to refer you. And based on the answers associated with that, if they're highly satisfied, then it will ask for a referral. But if they're not highly satisfied, then it gives you the opportunity to circle back and find out what you can actually do to resolve it. So much retention in a business in terms of customer retention actually comes from resolving challenges and difficulties in that relationship rather than even wowing them in the first instance. And the referral campaign essentially does all of that for you. And it's all automated. It just happens. The referrals come in from your customers through this process, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. I got this referral. Sometimes you forget that you have these processes going on in the background because they're so automated.
Right. And with referrals, I'm convinced that one of the most favorite things for people to say is, well, I know this guy. Right. And I guess what you're doing is you're making it easy for them to refer, because there's a lot of, I guess, businesses that people would refer if the opportunity came up. But I guess it's easier to make it easy for them to refer through these campaigns.
And that's exactly right. And there is a way to refer as well. I mean, how often do we get asked for a referral and we think, oh, I really like you and I really would like to give this referral, but I don't want to give you their details, my friend's details, because I'm a bit afraid you're going to bug them and I don't want to risk my relationship on parting with their details. So the way that we do this referral campaign is, instead of asking for the friend's details, we make it easy for you to forward our details on and talk about how amazing we are. So it puts the control in the person's hand that you're referring, rather than losing control and giving that to the customer. Because however strong that relationship is, the relationship with the person that is going to be referred is much greater, and you cannot risk that. And by having an automated referral campaign that is structured in that way, it actually grows trust rather than eroding it.
Well, yeah, and I think that one, what may seem like a small point, is probably a huge benefit to having a system like this into place, which brings me to the automation point. As we talk about, the 5 automatic email campaigns and how to do this automatically. Now that's a word that's thrown around a lot. Automatic. How is this done automatically in automation? You mentioned Infusionsoft, which I know is a very powerful platform, and to many they feel like it might be a complex platform, but one of the things that you are certainly known for is your ability to navigate Infusionsoft and to be able to take advantage of all the things that it can do to put these types of campaigns into place. So talk a little bit about the automation at a kind of non-techie level, but how it works and what makes it automated.
Yeah, so Infusionsoft can be overwhelming. It's the tool that we use. It's the tool that we've chosen. And in fact, we have worked with and do work with occasionally other tools in the marketplace. However, we have found that there is no other system that manages the scalability of personal relationships as well as Infusionsoft. And so what we do is when we're working with our clients, we take away, if you like, some of that complexity and we narrow down on what are their processes, what is their sales cycle, and we essentially simplify the implementation process. Infusionsoft has what's called a campaign builder, and essentially that's a drag and drop tool that can allow you to build out these campaigns. Now, for a lot of businesses, we actually have pre-built campaigns that we can populate into their business, and we then customize, if you like, some of the emails that go with them, so that businesses don't need to think, I've got a 12-month campaign I need to build out for a long-term nurture. I'm not going to have time to actually build that out now. We actually do all of that for them. So what we do is we take a very simple process approach, and we start out with, in the first version 1 is better is better than version none, right? So done is better than perfect. So in the first instance, we look at what's the most straightforward way to actually implement these campaigns? And then what we do is look at optimizing, because once you're actually starting to see the return on investment from just implementing these campaigns, then you want to optimize them and really get some of the juice from the opportunities and the leaky buckets, if you like, that you're plugging the holes here. So we actually have a process that we go through called our sales automation system that basically walks businesses in a very easy, very straightforward way through those processes and through that automation, using the campaign builder in Infusionsoft and using tags. So we identify what types of customers you have, what are the sorts of interests that they have, and how can we actually apply what's called a tag or a label to that particular contact record to identify that they should only get sequences related to residential real estate versus commercial real estate. And then we help the businesses build those out. The other amazing thing about Infusionsoft is if you have a long-term nurture or a long-term customer campaign, you don't have to do all of the work now to build out that campaign. You can actually build it as you go. So, for example, if your long-term nurture campaign is 12 months long and they're a monthly email, then you can start with the first month's email now and basically build in the second month's email as you go. And that is sometimes helpful for businesses because they might not know initially what it is they're going to help educate their customers about because they haven't pre-thought about it. So what we'll do, for example, in the long-term nurture campaign for months 2, 3, 4 and so on, is ask them to collect the frequently asked questions that they're getting from their customers during the sales process to actually create those long-term nurture campaigns. So essentially we work with customers to try and simplify that automation process and get them up and running and getting a return on investment as soon as possible.
Well, I think the one thing that probably a lot of people are breathing a sigh of relief is as we're going through those 5 email campaigns, I can picture, because I know businesses and I've talked to them, that when they hear that they think, oh gosh, so that means once a day or once a week I need to sit down and say, okay, let me send out my nurture emails to all the people that have been on here for this week, and let me send out all my new opt-in emails to all these people that were just put in the system. But there is no sitting and thinking about that each and every week. This is something that guys, and I guess that's what makes it truly automated. And I know the word autopilot is overused, but nobody has to sit down and actually say, okay, who's been in the system for a week? Let me send these emails out now.
Yeah, I have a client that, and that's right. We do all of the work up front. We workshop that out and we plan that out so that people aren't necessarily having to send that out at 8 a.m. every Tuesday and that kind of thing. I have a client that was telling me the other day and absolutely loves Infusionsoft and what it has done for her business. And she gets a notification every time a customer has actually converted or they have reached certain goals in the sequence in terms terms of being able to, nurturing them through that process. And she likes to kayak, and she was out kayaking with her husband recently, middle of the week, and it was a beautiful day. They were out on the lake, and she told me that her mobile phone kept pinging, ping, and then 5 minutes later, ping. And her husband said to her, "Have you got a campaign running?" And she said, "Yes, I just started a new campaign, and these are all sales coming in." And she was sitting out on her kayak and doing, spending time with her family, and the automated process that she had set up and we had set up together, a week or so before, was basically nurturing people through that process, and they were converting to sales. And her husband knew so much about when that happens that, her phone just pings and notifies her. And that's all, all she has to do is know that that's happening.
Well, one of the things, and I want to talk about this, and this can get a little deeper, and I think where people think, well, wait a minute, how does this work? Because it's almost like you're creating a crystal ball for some businesses, for these customers, because I guess as you go through these nurturing campaigns, your system can actually get to know customers based on, I guess, their behavior, the activities they perform with your emails, about, links that they clicked or things like that, so that maybe what their interest, or maybe that you find an interest that you didn't realize they had. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because that is something that I think can probably give a business so much more opportunity than they ever conceived of, is to understand a customer's, it's not just about you sending information to customers. You can actually receive information from customers without actually having to ask them questions that they might not answer you if you directly ask them, but they can answer you based on their behaviors, right?
That's right. And let's say, for example, one example of that might be a financial advisor that would give different advice to someone that is a startup company than an established small business, for example. So if in that, first or one of the early lead opt-in emails, they ask the question in the email, tell us a bit about your business. Are you a startup company? How long have you been running? That kind of thing. Are you a startup or are you an established business? And let's say they click, I'm a startup. And as a result of clicking that, the system Infusionsoft will actually know that they have clicked, I'm a startup. And as a result of clicking, I'm a startup, you can set a goal that says if they click, I'm a startup, send them the startup information and how to actually go from zero financial systems and zero financial planning to the next stage where they're a more established business. Whereas if they're a small business that's been established for a few years, you might send them information about growing and getting to the next level. So the Infusionsoft system allows you to identify through their activity and through the items that they might have clicked on in your emails exactly what information is going to help that particular customer. Now, you can even get it to the level, if you wanted to say, well, I'm a startup and what industry am I in? And if you're a financial planner, for example, or a financial advisor, you might know what the typical challenges are for startups in the IT or application building industry versus startups in a brick and mortar travel business, for example. So you can actually highly, highly customize the information that you're sending to those customers, to those prospects, so that they are getting, it's almost like having a live conversation. And particularly if you're marketing to particular types of businesses, then you can essentially have a conversation. And it's often the case, I find, that people think that they are actually having a one-on-one email conversation with your business, because you can so highly customize that.
And it is like the system understands and can automate this, and that's where the automation comes from based on this. So if I wanted to I'll get a little bit tacky and bold here. Let's say you're an attorney and somebody comes to you into your system, and you know that they are about to get married. You can send them prenuptial information, here, prenuptial agreement
That's
information.
Right.
And then your system, without you knowing it, your system knows, they got married. Time to start sending them divorce information, I mean,
Yes, exactly. Within about 2 years, you want to start sending them the divorce information. Prior to getting married, it'll be the prenup. This is how to fill in a prenup, and 2 years later, it's how to execute one.
Right, but that's out without you actually ever doing anything beyond that. The system is kind of learns that and takes care of it as it goes.
And what's extraordinary about that, and this can seem a little bit spooky in some ways. I mean, if I think about the client on the kayak, because you know how you start to actually see the numbers of how people flow through your pipeline and flow through the various aspects of your automation, you can know so much about your data, and the data can actually drive decisions in your business. For example, if you know you have 1,000 visitors to your website as a result of, say, a social media marketing campaign, and 1,000 people visit, and of those 1,000 people visit, 100 of them exchange their email address in order to be able to get the checklist or the information, the opt-in information, and of those 110 actually convert to customers, you know that you can make a decision. If you want to double the number of customers you have, you don't have to double the amount of work you invest in that. You can basically double the number of people that hit your website, and you know that in a certain number of days or weeks or months, depending on your purchasing cycle and the steps that you have in your sequences here, you know today, if I look at my website, how many people visited my website today, I know that in 2 weeks' time I will have X number of sales. And you can actually plan your business and have the confidence and knowledge and sleep at night knowing exactly how many sales you're going to have. And if that number drops tomorrow to half the number of visits on your website, and so they're not going through your automated process, then you know in 2 weeks' time, you're going to have a bit of an issue you need to deal with. So you know today that you need to take action, not in 2 weeks' time when the sales drop off. So this is the power of this.
Yeah, that truly is a crystal ball. Now, yeah. I'm sure people listening to this and thinking about this, this sounds pretty technical to put this together. And is this something that my IT person can do? Is it something that the kid that fixes my computer can do? It just sounds techy. Tell me about the technical exercise involved in doing this.
If you can drag and drop an icon onto a screen and connect a couple of arrows, and if you can think logically in terms of this is the first step, this is the second step, you can build this out. It can seem overwhelming in the first instance, and we have a kickstarting program where we actually educate our customers on how to build these campaigns. So we have programs where we build them for them, but we also have clients that prefer to build them out themselves. So we will teach them how to do that, and it takes about say 5 hours of training over a 2-week period to actually teach someone how to use the system. But ultimately, you could use the entire system after 1 hour training if you can drag and drop icons onto a screen. So yeah, it's not nearly as technical as you'd think.
Well, I think one of the reasons you're considered such a leader in this industry and with this type of technology is the fact that it's not just a technical exercise. That as much as you can drag and drop, putting the right message in front of people at the right time is probably more of an art than a science, or maybe not. But I guess the way I'm thinking about it with my simple mind is the guy that builds the billboard may not be the best person to actually put the message on the billboard.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
And one of the things that you have is the ability, and are very good at both sides of this. One, the technical aspect of it, but also the marketing aspect. So I guess, would that be the best way to describe it? There's the technical side of implementing this, and then there's the marketing instinct of making sure that you get the most out of it.
Absolutely. And the other aspect of that is we know what works and what doesn't. So because we're doing this with hundreds of clients, we know, and through our experience with clients, we know how many emails, for example, is the difference between helping and nurturing and bugging. We know, we can read the signs, if you like, around, how to actually structure these campaigns based on the typical life cycle of your customer, and also what content to include in each email. There's a certain sequence that you would want to have in your lead opt-in to purchase email, email series, for example, that helps people move through the process, as opposed to getting to a particular point and thinking, no, actually, I'm getting cooler in the process rather than warmer in the process. So it is partly about, if you like, the art and science of marketing, as well as the art and science of how to construct these campaigns in a way that they're most effective. We've made minor tweaks in campaigns at times that can end up in tens of thousands of dollars difference in an hour. It's quite extraordinary to see how if you phrase a call to action in a different way, the responses that you get, which are quite different to if you phrase it in another way. And we will also what we call A/B tests. So there might be a new campaign that we build for a client, and where it might be covering new ground, and we'll think, well, maybe we should test this in two different ways and send to half of the population. We might send it talking in this language. In another half of the population, we might say things a little differently to see what's the best and what's the optimal results that we'll get from that. And we work with our clients in doing that, obviously relating to their business and their industry, but we have a very strong understanding of how to construct these campaigns in a way that delivers maximum results.
Samantha, Alford, this has just been tremendous information, and I think the way that you explain this and the way that you it really does open the eyes to people in what they're not necessarily even what they're missing out on, but what could be, because it is something that so many people are neglecting. And the way that you describe this as the leaky buckets, I think anyone that is hearing this right now could immediately identify where their leaks are. And sadly, I think that's probably a huge percentage of local businesses out there that are missing out on this. So I want to thank you so much for sharing this information in the way that you have shared it to make it, I think it's really eye-opening for a lot of folks out there.
Thanks, Jack. And, it's something I believe in small business. I believe and very passionate about small business and its contribution to our economies, its contribution to, our regions. Typically, income that's earned in small business is spent in the region that small business exists. And I think that, it's certainly a passion of mine to help small businesses grow and be successful. Because I feel like, at times we're underrepresented and we employ so many people and we do so much good in our communities and for our families. And I really believe in the dream of small business. So any way that we can help small businesses is good for me.
Well, very good. And that's why I definitely feel that you are truly an influencer in what you do. How can people find out more about Samantha Alford, about Get You Digital, and to find out more and to learn how they can plug up those leaks in their buckets?
So our website is at www.getyoudigital, which is GET, the letter U, digital.com. I'm on Twitter at Sam Alford Twit, which is SAMALFORD Twit, and Facebook Sam Alford, Samantha.Alford.33, and of course you can always email me at Samantha@getyoudigital.com. They're probably the best ways to get hold of me.
Well, there it is. And the way that you say that, I'm from Texas. The Samantha Alford, through your proper Samantha Alford. I can tell you're not from Georgia.
I get Alford all the time, and we say all Ford, no Toyota.
Well, very good. Thank you again for being on today. There it is, Samantha Alford. Get You Digital, GETUDIGITAL.com. We'll have the links on our show post. And until next time, on Influencers Radio, remember, you are the only real game changer.